In 5, 6, 7, 8. Welcome everybody to the Smart in Public podcast. This is a podcast that talks about life and careers and business all through the eyes of comms people. And today we're going to dive into the future of what does our work look like in comms, starting with the tools that we use through two brilliant minds and co-founders that we've got as guests on the podcast today, Masek and Nadia Jamshidi. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to give the Cliffs Notes of your background, but really what we want to do is have you guys talk about this product that you just created called Honey Jar. So we're really excited to not only dive into the features and what it's all about, but also, talk about the comms industry as a whole. Where does AI fit? Where does it not fit? All of it.
Let's go.
So Michelle is the founder and CEO of Honey Jar. She previously served as SVP of marketing at Obvious Ventures, and before that founded Good Nature Ventures, which is a PR agency focused on mission-driven tech startups. So she's had comms roles all over the place at companies like Appeal, Lookout, Eventbrite, and also did some time in agency land at Ketchum and Shift Communications. And then Nadia is the co-founder and chief communications officer at Honey Jar, which is pretty cool being a chief communications officer for a PR platform. Love that. Love that role. She's got 25 years of experience leading media strategies for big time brands that we all know and love, including Cision, also Appeal, Obvious Ventures, Core Shelf, Flash Food. I'm sensing that there's like a weaving of careers between the two of you, seeing your backgrounds.
Guys, we've been
how we ended up together as business partners. Yeah.
We know the feeling. Yeah. Can relate. Yeah. Well, welcome. Talk about Honey Jar. Tell us what this product is. We know people that are using it. You guys gave us a demo this week. Tell us how it came to life.
Yeah. Cool. I'll just jump in. Well, I think, kind of going to the way back on this, like we really started with this feeling of we just don't have the tech tools we deserve in comms. It's like we've always kind of been the ignored function. Like you look around the organization and designers have Figma and, lawyers now have Harvey. And you're just like, wait, why does nobody build something that feels like truly applied to the workflows and just the way, like the ins and outs of the job, the nitty gritty. And so, that's really kind of what we can go into the founding story, but that's literally kind of where we came from, was just like, it's our time in communications to harness AI in ways that really work for us. And so that's what we're doing. Honey Jar we're building a co-pilot for PR and communications specifically. And really our co-pilot functions like a teammate on your team. So it's a kind of a one-stop shop, single pane. You go into dashboard. We've preloaded workflows, kind of all of the custom things or the customary things that we do, everything from finding media opportunities, drafting content, building strategy, building visibility calendars, so on and so forth. So we've preloaded these workflows, but you can also freeform with your agent. And pretty soon you'll be able to build custom agents within the ecosystem. And with Honey Jar, we really wanted to address some of the limitations that LLMs have today. Like we love that comms people everywhere are messing around with LLMs because it really is a gateway into using a tool like Honey Jar. But really the limitations we saw were things like hallucinations were kind of rampant within LLMs. Like I can't get the data I need. Media are moving different outlets. LLMs are giving me outdated information. Same thing was happening on the event side. And then formats, things like kind of getting into the nitty gritty of what a briefing document should look like. LLMs were getting comms people like 80% the way there, but we really saw a need to come in and really solve for those last miles so that we could have a tool we depended on. And so that forth, we're just now kind of coming to market. We announced in Axios in December, 10,000 of you all signed up. We're so grateful.
Shit, that's crazy.
I know.
We were blown away. Like the lore of that. Nadia and I are sitting in a coffee shop in New York, and we're using HubSpot so we can see every time that a waitlist application comes through. And I took this video. It was just like, da-da-ding, 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 da-da-ding. And I'm
That's
like,
so cool.
are these duplicates? What's going on here? But really, like the industry showed up. It was solo pros and fractional practitioners. It was in-house comms teams at enterprises from the very small to the very large. And it's PR agencies of every single size. And so it really reflects all the roles that we've held in our past too. So we kind of saw ourselves show up in the wait list, and now we're doing everything we can to be successful in pulling folks off the wait list slowly, patiently, and really getting things ready for our public launch in April.
Nice. Who's coming off the wait list now in this current stage, and what's some of the feedback that you guys are getting?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Nadia, I'll tee this over to you, but in terms of who's coming off, we wanted to start with solo pros.
Yeah.
So when I was running my shop, I had a small team around me, and the difference of being able to go from 3 clients to 4 and what that meant for our income was massive. Like, so we really wanted to start with the most nimble and also the highest upside users. So those solo pros, we've been bringing them in. We've got a couple dozen on the platform testing. We also have some piloting users from agencies. But yeah, in terms of feedback so far, I don't know, Nadia, if you want to kind of share what's happening in the platform.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like one of the responses that's resonated so much is with the solo practitioners. So I spent the last decade working on my own after years of running teams at agencies. And honestly, working solo can feel super isolating. So, you're making decisions in a vacuum and you don't have a team to bounce things off of. And obviously the grunt work never stops. But what we keep hearing from users like that is, for the first time, it just doesn't feel quite so much like they're working in a silo. And so it feels like they have a teammate, and that's just like music to our ears, because that's really what our intent was with Honeyjar.
I would say too, we started the product by dog fooding it ourselves, which is just a product term for basically us being the main users until we felt like it got to a point. And so Nadia and I last year, we brought on a bunch of clients because we thought it has to cross the Nadia bar of successful for Nadia before we roll this out to solo pros. And as I'm kind of working with our engineers and we're building the product, I would really turn to Nadia and say, like, did you have a magic moment today? And like, there would be some days where she's like, I wanted to cry. I'm so happy. This is what my like, that's actually has been a little bit of our early litmus test of, are we ready to bring in more users? It's what are the existing users saying? And does Nadia have like tears of joy?
Yeah. It's been so wild. Like, just, on one side, I'm working with Michelle and the team, the engineers, like building the product. And then on the other side, I'm running PR programs like I traditionally have in the past. And all the workflows, everything. I mean, our clients, we call them our design partners, because every workflow I'm funneling through Honeyjar to just pressure test the hell out of it. And I mean, I did. I have moments where I was like, oh my God, Michelle, you would not believe what happened. Like creating a briefing doc where Honeyjar immediately recognized that the person that was doing the interview had already met with the reporter 6 months before at an event. And Honeyjar knew that because it just gets smarter the more content you put into the system. So it remembered that. And I was like, this is crazy. It's wild.
Maybe you can touch on, Nadia, to that point. I mean, we've kind of said briefing docs, you've mentioned events, but what else if I was to go in tomorrow as a solo preneur, what other stuff could I do with Honeyjar? Like talk us through it.
Everything from our client dashboard, you can pick many different workflows. So, I mean, my favorites are the ones that used to take hours and hours and hours to research. So it's like building a media list. Obviously you can just also use it just to look up a media contact, but building a media list and creating that media list based on whatever pitch you're putting out there, just finding the perfect matches. So it's not just building a media list based on the industry your client is in, but it's really honing in on what are you pitching this week? And it'll do the research and it'll not only just bring up the list, but it's going to give you background on the reporter and tips on how to approach that reporter and all of that. So, and then you can continue to
For that pitch,
why they were selected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, briefing docs, press releases, writing pitches, developing a comms plan.
We love our
finding
op-ed tool right now. So this
our
is what
op-ed tool. Yeah.
Mm.
we're getting. So we
Yeah,
use,
tell us
so we
about that.
aggregate LLM. And so if you love Claude, you'll love our writing tools. But the difference between us is that we're leveraging Claude in very specific ways. So if you run an op-ed or I want to do a blog post, Honeyjar is going to bring you through kind of very nuanced questions that you typically be interviewing your client or your CEO to kind of give you. So it's teasing out the best information from the user before it goes to that draft. And then in that draft, we've obviously thought very carefully about formats, how to kind of remove as much of the AI slop as we can. And then once you have that draft, it's going to take the step and say, well, here are some stages where this similar story could be told, or here are some reporters you might want to take this story to. Do you want to talk about going direct, or do you want to talk? So it's very much like a moving walkway from one task you might be doing to another, just like it might be when you're working with a teammate where you've got the pitch and now you're saying, well, hey, can someone go grab the 10 targets for exclusive and give me reasoning for each one? Like it's kind of taking those steps along with you is how we've built the UI.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention too, I mean, it when we talk about media, I mean, you can ask Honeyjar just to focus on podcasts or Substacks or newsletters. So it gets very specific into the categories that you want to get into.
Like for me, I think about there is a Salesforce for salespeople. You know, like everyone has their own operating system. Like everyone had but nothing I feel like from a comms perspective for the tools that we use has been built by a comms person. I just thought it's just really nice to have a product made for comms people that
we appreciate you.
They know what we do.
We did not pay you to say that.
That's true. We were laughing just, oh, sorry, Michelle. I was just saying we were laughing the other day because I was creating this pitch and it was just way too long. And I was, it's like, what do you want to do next? And I chose the shorten the pitch. And then Honeyjar came back and was like, well, how short are we talking? It's like a total, it's just, Honeyjar's got a great vibe.
Yeah. we have those confirmation steps in just, again, to get to quality output because AI is just a mirror to our work. And so if we're like, I want to make a pitch for Eric Newcomer, go, like you're going to get like something really generalist. And one of the big failings in using AI for comms has been that prompting problem, right? And like we're good at it, right? I mean, some of us are great prompters, some of us are vibe coding, but some of us are, just in a hurry to get something done. And the AI, wherever you use it, is going to mirror that. And so Honeyjar behaves more like that teammate that's going to be like, well, hold on a minute. Like, how many targets did you want? And so, you can always bypass that stuff, but we find it to be really helpful, especially with some of the more junior folks at the agencies we're working with. The feedback has come back from managers that it's actually really helping them instill kind of good capabilities in terms of doing these tasks. Yeah, because Honeyjar is actually kind of helping to train the team members on how to get to a good outcome, which was unexpected. We did not expect that feedback.
How does it know how to do that?
Yeah, I was going to ask that question too. Is like, how did you train it to do that? Yeah,
it's kind of two levels. Like we started with, and we've just been relentlessly curious to see, can we get ourselves, basically, can we augment all the mechanical things that we do in order that we can serve more clients? Like that was the question. Like, can we take on 3 or 4 clients, just the 2 of us, and serve everything that is needed and offload those mechanics? And so that really comes down to quality, because if you're doing, if you're ghostwriting something or, you're doing a briefing document, what really takes time is if you get to an AI output too soon, then all of that's going to be editing time on top of it to get it to something that's client ready or usable. So you're not really reducing the most time. It's not the most productive because you're spending all that time just to kind of add humanity back into the writing. So we found that in adding these confirmation steps or these questions, that Honeyjar prompts, that the inputs are stronger and stronger. And so you're spending a little bit more time up front before getting to that output, but ultimately the output's that much better of a quality. So you're actually going faster in the end. And then from an engineering perspective, that was really just part of the product process of like, how do we want the co-pilot to behave? And we started with, no guardrails. You say something, it gives you something. And what we realized was what we really need is we need a sparring partner that knows the next question to ask, just like a 20-year comms professional. And in doing that, in pairing up more junior folks with a 20-year comms professional AI, like they're actually learning and getting further along in their content, which has been really cool.
Yeah, I think that's the big conflict and we'll get into this a bit as well in our conversation, but like thinking about with comms, like where does the comms need to start and the AI need to stop? Like where does the brain need to start braining? Because I think you can like fall down a spiral loop of like forgetting how to pull yourself up and think critically if you lean too heavy on the tools as well.
Oh, totally. For me though, if I never had to spend time on a media list again, that'd be okay. It could be my brain for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're really looking at is the mechanics of comms. Like when you think about why a company hires an in-house team, or why a solo practitioner gets hired, or why an agency, gets the big retainers they do, like it's not because they build media lists or like shiny looking briefers. It's because there's a high level of trust in that human to have the right judgment for the client, and that there's a high belief in the ability that they have to cultivate relationship. And so between judgment, strategy, and relationship, like that's the stuff that we're valued for. That's why comms is having this moment in the news. It's because when AI can augment everything else, you can't touch judgment and relationship. And so we're not touching that stuff, right? Like what we're touching are all of the things that really take you away from that stuff. And we call that the mechanics of comms, which in the reality, like you're fine with that. Like the client's fine with that. Your CEO's fine with that because they really want you in that strategic, great judgment, relationship driving role as it is.
Yeah. And I think just, behind the scenes, the relationships are so important. And so we've intentionally made this platform in a way so there's no way to just spray and pray reporters. I mean, our relationships with reporters are probably the most, coveted thing in this industry. And so what we're trying to do is just help you build better relationships. We're surfacing their background. We're flagging why your pitch might resonate with them, even suggesting, maybe the right time of day to reach out to that person, whether it's broadcast versus print. And then, just helping you show up better and not just doing these canned pitches that go out to, 20 different people and hope that one of them's going to bite.
We're a hard no on that.
Yeah, hard no.
I was going to ask about your perspective on, I think a lot of us grew up in agency, and a lot of the first work that we did was probably what we would now describe as like that mechanical layer, right? It was like, go build me a media list, go, pull backgrounds, that sort of thing. So I'd love your perspective on, as the tools get better, and Honeyjar is a great example of this, where do you think the role is for those PR people coming out of college, joining the industry, maybe becoming, first line account coordinators at an agency? And I'm sure you've had these discussions with agencies as well, but where do you think the future of that role is, or how juniors continue to learn?
This is a hard conversation to have, and it's one we all need to have as an industry. Like the reality is this: the job I had at Ketchum out of college, it doesn't exist anymore. That job was doing physical clippings while I sat on the floor in my cubicle and pasted things into a book. That job was billing reports. That job was, for all the Gen Z on the listening here, was doing faxes. And then another part was client agenda and action item. And then I would take nuts and put them on the table where the clients would come in. That was my job as an AC. The only thing that still exists in that job today is the putting the nuts on the table.
Yeah.
And like that has nothing to do with Honeyjar. That's just, this is where we are. And this isn't even really AI, right? Like the role and comms is constantly changing. There are certain ever truths, but there's certain, so to the question of, well, what does this mean for early career practitioners? Well, what it means is two things. One, we need to put a lot of pressure on universities to help our comms and training masters of the robots, right? Like college students need to be able to harness these tools, because what we hear from agencies is that these are the folks that are actually helping in the AI transformation. Like a lot of agencies I talk to will bring somebody who is definitely younger than 25 to the call and defer to them and say, what do you think about Honeyjar? So there's a really interesting idea about junior comms professionals as really kind of being the wielders of AI and technology and actually helping. That's a very strategic thing to be doing, right? And that wasn't an opportunity I had when I was, putting nuts on a table. So there's definitely that. The second component of it is agencies need to be really awake to the fact that if they're not thinking about how to reallocate talent, they're going to be behind. Not to put anyone on blast, but I talked to one agency and they said they saw Honeyjar and they go, what are we going to do for billable hours? Like, what are the ACs going to do? And I said, you tell me. That's kind of your job, is to figure out how you're going to change as capacity changes happen, right? This technology gives you a new capacity. Like, what can those humans do? How can you better put those humans to growth? So that
adapt or die is just the theme of all of this, right? Like
sorry, but it is.
What you're saying rings so true. I feel like not just in the agency world, but everywhere. It's like, you can't be saying like, what happens to the old way now that this new thing is happening? Like, you can't hold on to the past that way with our industry anymore, because I also think it just creates this dangerous narrative around us being an old need for businesses. Like, how much are they going to think they need comms if we keep saying, well, we used to do it this way, so we're going to always do it this way? Like, everyone's just going to move on without us.
Totally. And one other thing I'll say, it's, kind of similar to kids in the 90s, like they kept internet out of classrooms for so long, right? And so I'm actually hearing on the university side that there has not been as much adoption at the university level of these tools. Like, if I had my way, Arizona State University, hello, like Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, we'd love to be a partner with you. But if we're not, one thing we're thinking about doing, or hell, I'll just commit to it, is if you have a .edu email, we're going to give college kids a discount code so that they can get into Honeyjar and start using these tools, because they'll be in a better place when they enter the force if they can.
Yeah, I love that.
Love that.
Yay for
Aside
you.
from,
You heard it here, folks.
let me just dig out my.
Or we're going to have the next generation of, again, going back to the analogy of like putting nuts on the client table. I mean, we have to find a new kind of set of things for these professionals.
It's such an opportunity too for like the playing field to be leveled for everyone. It's like, don't just rely on the young people to learn the technology thing. Like, everyone now is starting from the beginning, and we can all learn the technology thing and then figure out what the future of our industry looks like together through the opportunities that present itself that way. Like, imagine how much fun you would have had when you first started doing PR if you got to sit at the table with your clients from day one in a junior role. Like, you would have learned so much more than having to do the clip reports in the morning.
Oh my God, the clip reports.
Or just paste things for an afternoon. Like, I kind of miss the clip report.
Michelle, you can do the clip report for me then.
No. I mean, you guys, I'm going to totally date myself. I think it was owned by Cision too, but I mean, I started when you had media map books. They were like encyclopedias, and you would look reporters up from like A to D. It would be like one book this big, and you would just pass it around, and you'd put a sticky note like, Nadia's next, I get to borrow the book. So yeah. Okay. I mean, I started my career when I was 15. Okay. I'm not that old, but
yeah.
I mean,
You were
holy
very
hell,
advanced.
that was like a different world. So
A relic.
yeah. So going from flipping through pages to everything we have today is just, it's crazy.
sounds like a
We need
disaster.
to be taking advantage of it and not be scared of it.
So shifting out of, where the young folks are getting started, what is the vision like with technology, with AI in place? Like, what does a comms person role to you guys look like? I mean, I was going to say originally in this question, like 5 to 10 years from now, but honestly, like 6 months, a year from now, based on the speed of how everything is happening around us, like what does the future of the comms person's role look like to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think about this a lot, and I think it's already happening in the zeitgeist. But so the role is not fundamentally changing. I mean, the media landscape changes, but the I'd say the fundamentals of what we're doing, creating strategic stories that move businesses and move markets and move ideas forward, and building relationship as a way to transact those stories so that we can measure them and see how they go, and doing so in an earned sense or in an owned sense, like that's kind of going to be the same. What really changes are the tools and the media markets, really. When I think about where this all goes, though, and when I say the zeitgeist, we're already in this really special moment for comms, right? I'm sure everyone listening has read the Wall Street Journal article in December that talks about how companies are looking for storytellers. Well, they're looking for comms people, is what they're saying, right? And Business Insider came out just recently and said that the new high-paid hot job is comms. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting because we've always been here doing the thing, but the world is now starting to recognize us. And the reason for that is that AI has augmented just about everything it can on that layer. And so the world is looking around, where do humans play in the organization? And what comms owns? Judgment, strategy, relationship. You can't augment that stuff. And so that shot our premium as a professional way up. And so when I think about where this is going, I think there's net positive opportunity for comms across the board, because companies are realizing I can do agents for just about everything, but I really need someone to help me kind of figure things out so I have the right aura when I step on stage. I mean, we're not anywhere near to robots being able to do that for us. So there are more opportunities coming up. And then when you think about the opportunity for those professionals, it's not just to get into the jobs, but it's to do better in those jobs because they've got agents backing them up on the mechanics. We hope to be that kind of system of record for communications professionals, but AI in general across the board has been an incredible assistant as our field just has this meteoric moment.
Yeah, and I think I just add that, like, even, for solo pros in particular, that ceiling is going to lift even more to where they can serve more clients without burning out and just really build something sustainable.
Yeah.
Oh, we see this, actually, that's a huge trend right now, that the numbers, even what we see in our own pipeline, which is like a mini microcosm of the market, is that this trend of like comms people are going out on their own. They can get the clients and they don't have all the overhead that they would necessarily require from an employer or from a team. And then they have tools like AI or Honeyjar to be able to kind of go from 2 clients to 3, which is a huge income bump up. Or some solo pros are telling us they only want to work 20-hour weeks, but they want to make 40-hour week salaries. And so that's the other way to do it. Like, this is a renaissance for solo practitioners.
I think there are definitely a lot of solos coming into the market, but I will say the uncomfortable thing is I think a lot of it is not by choice. It's a lot because of layoffs. And then they're like, what do I do until I find another job?
So that's, I guess, another side of the coin.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see where that shakes out. I think it also depends, not everyone is comfortable working as a solo pro. So that's a tough one if it's something that you kind of have to do to get your way through.
I know. Well, the market's a mess. We know that. So there's no argument about it.
The world, my anxiety.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to kind of take a step back before we dive into kind of what the future in the industry is looking like, is that I'm particularly interested in is you guys raised money for this product as well. And one thing that we don't see a lot of, as we were kind of alluding to earlier, is like comms people going out and founding companies and raising around. Like, can you just talk to us a little bit about what that experience was like, and like I'm so curious to understand, like, what were some of the things that investors were asking you about our industry, and like what was the process like? Like, take us through step by step.
When you were saying, I don't, a lot of people having gone through this process for comms, I thought you were going to say women as well, because like something like 2% of all venture capital deals last year were women. And having been through that together, I kind of get why.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
But I digress, without going into kind of the plight of gender dynamics in venture today, I think the reality is comms has been overlooked at so many different levels, right? Like, you have sometimes the organization overlooks comms. They think we're kind of like marketing or content or just something else. And so there's like this overlooking of us there, or there's this misconception that we're a service org that's here to like produce coverage. There's also this headwind belief that media is dead, like if you kind of take a way out view. Earned media has had a challenge for a long time because it was everyone was going to go independent and Substacks were going to rule everything. We now know that's not true. The truth is somewhere in the middle. There are going to be large network and kind of corporate media, and there's going to be the individual author as well. It's not either or. But going into the VC process, these were all the headwinds coming in. And it's also why you haven't seen many innovators take a whack at this space. And at the same time, why you haven't seen many investments in this space. And so I was arrogant enough to think this is going to be easy.
Because you were in VC already, right? Like from the conference.
I was sitting around the table, for a couple of years in VC, where I would see these founders come in and they would pitch their ideas and they would talk about the market, the approach, and why they were the right team. And then they would leave the room, and with 11 investors, we would talk about, is this the right founder? Is this a big market? Is this the right time? And so when I answered the questions that they would always ask, I was like, well, duh, like, we're comms people. Like, we've worked every type of comms job. Like, we know where the bodies are buried. We can build for this. And then the market, it was, well, this is a $15 billion US industry alone if you look at the professional services side of comms. That's big. If you think about it, like, think about corporations Series B or companies Series B onward. They're spending on average between $15,000 and $200,000 a month in external comms resources. So that's our big indications of sticky large budgets, right? Corporations paying for it, and lots of examples of where money's flowing. So, okay, we got the market. And then the time is clearly right because it's the year of the agent and there's AI for everything, but no one's like looking after comms. So we hit the VC trail in May, and the kind of the common rule of thumb is that it takes about 6 to 9 months to close a round. Well, I told Nadia, I was like, we'll be done in 30 days. Like, we've got a warm intro.
I'm like, you've got this. You've got this.
We've got an amazing hive of advisors and early, angel investors coming from media and Andreessen Horowitz. Like, we've got this, right? And no, so the process kind of goes.
No, we didn't.
Here's the fascinating thing. It's kind of like running an embargoed release. I know those are kind of dead. Like, we just all do exclusive now and whatever, but it's kind of like that. You've got to clarify your message. You kind of keep the pack together, right? You want to do all your briefings over a certain time frame, and then you kind of leverage the interest of others to nudge things ahead. Mm-hmm. It all changes once the first domino falls, right? Like, that's exactly how this kind of works. But in May, thinking I would have that done in 30 days, no, I struggled hard all summer. We ended up having around 70 conversations before the dominoes really started to fall.
Wow.
When they did, we really celebrated, and we did have great options. But what we learned was, don't try to raise VC in the summer. Like, don't do it. Because they're not around. And like, they're they're in Jackson Hole, they're late. Like, the calls were just where they were coming in from were just so fascinating. So don't try to raise in the summer. And that's one lesson learned. And I would also say, I mean, we were trying to penetrate, it's a hard thing, but we were trying to penetrate a market where it's not viewed as highly investable. So I don't know if it would have gone any other way, but once those dominoes started to fall, they did. We had some great options, and we ended up going with Heather Hartnett at Human Ventures. We just vibed. And like, that's the best thing that you can possibly have in an investor, because this is our boss we just hired, right? We just hired governance, like, God forbid, like, but with Heather, we just felt like, one, she gets comms. Two, she wanted to use the product right away as part of negotiating our terms. She was like, but we need to be able to have this as a firm. I'm like, yes, like that's of course, like you want to be a customer. Okay.
Like, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great partnership so far.
Yeah.
Is the spend then going towards like engineering, or how are you guys using that money?
Yeah, engineering. It's to API resources, LLMs.
Yeah.
Right. So we're paying for this data ecosystem so that when you come to this single browser that is Honeyjar, your surface area for comms, you're tapping into social sources, creator databases, news media, online, offline. We're looking into TikTok. Like, how do we get organic mentions? So it's very much about classic tech spend when you've got an API ecosystem. It's where a lot of our money goes. That and just building.
Cool.
And just the crazy thing to watch is just how fast it goes. I mean, our engineers, they're pushing updates literally like twice a day. I mean, it's so fast with AI. I mean, it's pretty wild.
We have to be. We have our users, we have Slack channels with some of our piloting agencies, and someone will pop in and say, oh, I caught a bug. Like, it's not all roses, right? Like, we're early product, it's early access, like things break and people let us know. And we stop everything we're doing and take that to our engineers, but they can turn things so quickly. Like, something that seemed like a problem, the next day is completely resolved, or a new feature. I mean, today we launched multiplayer and Google integrations, and it's just like a whole new day of product, single day.
I feel like with with Anthropic and OpenAI updates, like that's literally like AI technology is now being updated like nothing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, how are you guys thinking about innovation and keeping up with the pace of all of that with your own products?
The thing that we've been noticing, and I don't know if you have been noticing this, is that LLMs are actually starting to scale back utility in some ways. So one example is context. There seems to be less storage of context going on, like less duration. So a lot of I think what our advantage is we continue to deepen and deepen our specialization to meet the needs of our customers. Like, our customers need to have context stored from the day you start using it and every comms decision you make forevermore. Your teams, like, if you're all just firing up Claude, like you're not going to hold years of context. So it's things like that. But it's also, we get to take the best of all the models and aggregate them. So that in itself is a moat for us in terms of, if you're using Claude, we're also using Claude plus 3 other models for the same price. So there's a little bit of the advantage of being an aggregator. And then there's just also the manic pace of us, right? We've kind of had to become AI in terms of how we run product development. So we have some great product investors and advisors on the team. We have best in class product sprints every morning. We're working across 4 different time zones to make sure our pushes are hitting at all the right times. And it's intense. Like, I would say I'm doing less comms these days. And I should be honest about it. I'm not doing any comms right now. I'm 100% product and customer. It's this button didn't do this, and it's I need something over here, or there's a latency problem over here, and making sure that is spotted, diagnosed, and immediately shipped into the current sprint. And there's no rest in AI product development.
Well, I'm still deep in it and on the front lines, which I love. I love just being a user myself in here and just, experiencing it firsthand.
Well, that's what they say. If you should design a product that you want first and then see if anyone else needs it.
100%.
That was kind of the plan.
I mean, I have to just say, like, before Honey Jar on any given day, I had so many tabs open, it was overwhelming. So I'd be jumping from a media database to ChatGPT to Claude, and then over to Google for Good Measure, and then back into my Google Drive where I'm building my lists and my pitches. And, because none of these tools are talking to each other. So that fragmentation alone was just a huge pain point for me.
Mm-hmm.
So from day one, it was like consolidation. We just need to consolidate so people can just be in one space and not lose their minds.
Yeah.
I have a really technical question, but it's actually, I was just thinking about it as an in-house person. Does it have the ability to create a workspace where you could have agency and in-house together?
Oh yeah. The way we view the stakeholder or the client or the agent. So when you log into Honeyjar as an owner of the account, so let's say, you're running an agency, but you're signing up for that agency, you can do a couple things. You can set up all your clients. You can invite team members to those clients, and then permissions flow from there, just like they would in kind of a Google Doc, Google List kind of way, right? Team members can create inside of a client, they can create assets that they can just see or that others can see. And then from that, you can share. So the client space we have a company called Coco Robotics, Series B out of LA. The company for Coco Robotics, if we want, we can share that with Zach in the in-house team. And all access and comms work and reviews and approvals happen within the Honeyjar ecosystem. And so that's where we're going with this, is that you're not grabbing a link and leaving. You're actually inviting your client or your CEO or your legal team stakeholder into the ecosystem to do that review. And in doing so, we capture every decision made and that context that really stores and compounds over time, so that we're not only helping with what you're currently doing, but what to do next is where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you sparked me asking the question when, Nadia, you were talking about the different tabs and and I was just thinking, like, you're often working with agencies across different, like all different document formats, and then you're reviewing and you're adding comments, and to your point, the learning around that and the context is often lost in that one document. It's like, okay, the agency got the feedback for that. Then you get the next one from the agency and you're giving similar feedback or similar, so I think that having it all in one space and then the context and the learning is going to be really powerful.
Yeah. We've got a long way to go. We're committed. We're in it to win it.
Can I ask some hard questions?
Okay, I will be happy to answer those for you.
I'm going to ask Michelle some hard questions. No, I'm just thinking about
acknowledge, bridge, communicate.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for the question.
You ask.
I appreciate that so much. Okay. Let's back up. So you're talking about, like, a lot of solos are using the platform. And for me, what I think about as a consultant, I'm like, obviously that's me. Obviously that's small teams of one. But potentially that could also be founders who are not comms people, right? So, like, if a founder is going in and using these tools, like, one, are they, like, is that happening on the platform? And two, does that keep them from wanting to hire a comms person down the road if they can just do everything themselves and access the media lists and get, like, the skills and the techniques, that show up in the platform?
Oh yeah, no. And let's be provocative here. We're building AI co-pilots for PR and comms for anybody who wants to do PR and comms. Thought leaders, executives, comms pros of all types. We're starting with pros as a major focus, but founders going direct is an amazing use case that we support. Here's why. The pre-seed, seed, sometimes Series A founder, it's not a question of whether or not they will get value from comms. It's whether that they have the operating budget to go and do it. And so you see a lot of founders not doing anything. Like, they're great storytellers. They just raised money, but they're not starting their comms journey until later on because they can't afford the $5,000 plus a month consultant, and certainly not getting into agency retainers. And so you've kind of got this stratification of comms. And for those earlier stages, it means they don't do anything. A lot of times they don't come out of stealth, or they shoot themselves in the foot, and they've like lost opportunity that could have kind of pulled their business forward. And so in terms of going direct, like the way that we see helping those earlier stage founders is that we're helping them get off the ground floor on comms, like understanding some best practices around, okay, you've raised some money. What might you try next? Right. But we see this very much as a natural graduation into needing comm services where they actually are resourced in a way to work with us all. Right. And so that's not actually really changing. It's just what the difference is. It's just these founders never did anything to begin with. An example is we're working with some incubators right now that do kind of the cohorts of startups coming to market, and they all need to do things like nail their company story and their first press release. A lot of times not for earned media. Like they need to be able to communicate to their teams the who, what, where, when, why of our brand. And doing so through a founder drafted blog post that's like really tight. Like that's great for internal purposes. Or maybe they've just raised a little bit and they need to know like who's the one reporter that they should reach out to and cultivate relationship with, and how should they not, shoot themselves in the foot in that one interaction. That's all they need, right? Like we're a great fit for them. What we're also seeing though is in the founders and like the non-pros that are on the platform, something happens after they do that first comms thing, whether it's finding the podcast they want to get on or preparing that launch press release. They call me and Nadia and they go, do you know anyone who can actually help me execute this? Like we're ready for more. And so we've actually been batting around the idea of actually launching a little bit of almost like a hiring platform, because we have all the solo pros. They are looking for solo pros. They have now the literacy of understanding what to do a little bit, right? Because nothing is worse than like helping a founder even figure out like what PR is. Like it's not a fun starting place. So we see a future where there's actually kind of a natural graduation from founders who came to us because they wanted to go direct, but then their comms program grew and now they're wanting to connect with other experts on Honeyjar because they now need a comms program, which is the comms begets the comms, right? So that's how we see it going. It could go other ways, but I just don't see it happening. I mean, Nadia and I work with dozens of founders and like they need things. And
oh my gosh. Yeah, at Obvious. I mean, we had the founders were leaning on us to get out that first press release, get their first exclusive. I mean, we got exclusives for them in like Forbes and Bloomberg, but I remember all the conversations leading up. They really needed help. They're like, well, why Forbes? Why are you choosing Forbes? What about this? And so just really the education process, like helping them. And that's something that, where they could lean in.
Like Honeyjar will help with that. But like what I've noticed is they book time with me because they need confidence that what they prepared in AI is good and ready. Like that. Yeah. That's a lot of the role that we play, right? As comms, is we're giving confidence to that spokesperson. And I don't see that going away at all.
I would say like as a consultant, my biggest role is that I am a business therapist for whatever founder I'm working with.
Totally. Yeah.
So that judgment and that kind of like taste conversation that people love to play into, it plays a huge part in the role that I'm doing. It's not uncommon that a founder will send me some kind of AI slop thing and we have to sit down and like pull out what does this actually mean? Who are you trying to talk to? What are you actually trying to say in this? So there, I can see where you're coming from with that. I do think that what worries me about that positioning is the idea of, founders just thinking that they can, there's just a lot of consultants out there that pre-seed to like A, B stage is like a big pool for how people are getting clients right now. And that's not saying that they're taking advantage of the founders, but what that does say is like, what does that happen to our industry if that pool is taken away by technology? And is, sorry, I'm going long, and is thinking about the kick on with how that impacts media and then comms with like the outreach that they're getting as well. So like thinking about journalists that are getting more pitches directly from founders,
Right.
like, because they have access to these media lists, you know, like thinking about, does democratizing these types of tools make our situation better or worse?
I think the answer is somewhere in the middle, which is like totally unsexy, but like, you know, in many cases, when you get more founders into the comms market, they're gonna have more need. Like they're not gonna be able to do it themselves, therefore more business opportunity. And on the other side of it is there will be some set of founders who are like really just, they figured it out and they're good. And, you know, there's this one founder we were working with and she's like a natural born comms person. And she just discovered that through using Honeyjar. And so, you know, she might not hire comms until her company is much further down the line because she's been able to get herself, you know, into Inc. Female Founders and other places. And that's like, that sprinkle is enough for her. So I think we're going to see both, but I really think it's the tide though, because I have seen of that founder set, and I've spent my career exclusively working with startups and founders. It's they didn't do anything at all. They have no comprehension of comms. They have no budget. They're not even getting into the comms game until way too late, which isn't great for our field because we're like, we want to like help you, like come.
Yeah.
So I think it's both, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. But our early data suggests that Honeyjar hasn't set them loose in a way where they don't need us because they call us all the time still.
Do you think that the future of like platforms and tools are like one to rule them all, or many different platforms that are kind of split for use cases, or custom tools built by independents, like with their agents? Like, what do you think the future of these types of tools looks like for you guys?
I mean, sorry, Nadia, I just talk so much.
No, do it.
All right.
This is how Jeffrey probably feels. She's like, I'll ask a question soon. Don't worry.
No, but this is it. This is like work life. Like it's, you know, we complement each other. Okay. So I think it's going to go by profession. Like I think there's going to be a capture the hill moment because the reality of fragmentation is happening everywhere. Like I think we can kind of confidently say for now that like at least all the designers I work with are working in Figma. Like they've really and they're an ecosystem, right? Like if I get invited to look at something that we're doing for our brand, a designer shares a Figma link with me. And then I go into the Figma world with my Figma account and I do product-y and design things in there, right? I feel like they've really captured creative brand product. Okay. Harvey is a great example in the legal field. So they're applied AI for lawyers, and that's for independents, firms, and in-house counsel. It's a kind of good analogy for what we're doing. And they're right now kind of in that capstone position, right? And there's a whole market of challenger tools that are trying to kind of nip at Harvey or like nip at different parts of the legal process. And it's a really hot VC space. So I think we're in this moment where we're going to see applied AI kind of tooling where it's platform level by profession. And yeah, we are on a mission. We're working 24/7 to claim that position for comms and PR. And we know we'll have competition along the way, and others are trying to bolt AI on, and it's going to be a fun one, and we're going to run at the speed of AI trying to do it. But our belief is that if you can depend on Honeyjar to do the mechanics of PR work, which is taking 60% of your time right now, that will be the tab you open. And we're going for that, the one-shop tab you open when you do your comms work.
I love that. And listen, I am for it. Like I am here to watch the battle of the best tool win for sure. Like cheering you guys on. Let's fucking go, because I feel like our industry needs that so bad.
That's our favorite phrase. We're always like, LFG.
Our industry is really good at though. Like this just comes from what we observe. So we had to do our own comms, right? For this, like we raised some money, we're going to go do a thing. Here's what we're doing. Nadia, Michelle, whatever. So naturally, like, you know, like good comms people, we go to Eleanor at Axios and we say, hey, would you cover this on exclusive? And Nadia sets up the interview and we do it and whatever. I'm telling you, there was so much love. We are so grateful to comms people because you all comms the hell out of it for us. And we saw, like, again, with that direct acquisition, of signups, it was the type of thing that you dream of. I mean, our website didn't crash, but like it could have, with how much came from that one article. And across our
This
careers
shows you the power of
of
media.
comms, because
And
yeah, we have product market fit, okay, and like thank you for seeing that, but also it's in our nature as comms people to share things with our friends, to put things on LinkedIn, to
Yeah.
talk about things, to try things out, and to talk about them. And it was just really cool to see the buzzing happening from the people we're trying to serve.
Comms people
I
are
also
just
think it's
natural
really-
people.
Yeah, and I think it's really inspiring to see two really successful comms women who have worked in traditional comms roles to then go, you know what, we're going to go build something and we're going to go raise money. Like for me, like I think that's awesome, and I'm like, power to you that you had the bravery to do it, because I don't know if I would. But like I think that's the other part of our industry is we're like, yes, like go do that because we can and we know our own industry. And so yeah, I just like think it's, I wish you all the best for it, because I just think it's really cool that you've gone and done it.
Same. Yeah.
well,
We thank Nadia and I spend every night, like if anyone writes us anything, like we are talking about it. Just know
yeah,
that if you
yeah,
see online about us, or if you wrote us, good, bad, or ugly, like we're all about it. I mean, because we're not going to put our names and our comms credibility on something that we're not proud of, or that, you know, isn't there yet. So just know that like everything that we're hearing from everyone just means the world to us and keeps us going.
Yeah.
Really.
funny, like little story here, just based off of what you said, Katie, about like, you know, power to us for doing something about it. I just have to share that it was a moment where Michelle and I were working together on a speaker program for the VCs at Obvious. And, you know, each of them have a completely different focus and different audience and so forth. And so I was spending hours like between LLMs and Google and all this. Anyway, I just hit a wall and I was venting to Michelle and like, why are we still doing things this way? Why isn't there a real-time database there is for like media databases for events? Like, why? And so I've bitched about some version of this over the years many times. So I'm going to give credit to Michelle here because it was my moment of complaining. It just happened to land at the right time with the right person, because Michelle was like, what? And she just like, she latched onto that like you would not believe. I mean, she had a business plan. I'm not even kidding. She had a business plan within a week of that conversation. I'm like, who are you?
Not anymore in AI time, but like I knew for that. I felt like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is my purpose.
Yeah.
Tech
Yeah.
pro and service
So-
comms people.
Yeah. I gotta be humble here. I was totally just bitching about it and like every nuance of it.
I
And
did.
she's like,
Glad
I
you
love that. I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys have shared a lot of how you have, you know, how you're smart in your own industry, but do you guys have any way that you are dumb in private?
you go.
Yeah. Are you kidding? How long do we have? Oh my God.
Go, Nadia.
Okay, I can go first. So, so I recently had my husband's family over for dinner and I made the kind of short ribs that take hours to cook. And the recipe called for apple cider, but genius here, I used apple cider vinegar by mistake. So when I opened the oven, the smell was so overwhelming, and I swear my eyes were just like watering. It was,
it good?
and no, oh God, no, we ordered pizza. Like it was awful. I mean, I wish it was like my family and not like my mother-in-law and like, you know, I mean, I was like, why? Anyway, yeah, that's one of many.
Love it.
Yours is cute, Nadia. Mine's embarrassing. I am extremely dumb in private when it comes to post-divorce dating. I'm like level 1 communication skills. Anytime I'm trying to like get to, I don't know, it's just a nightmare out here. So it's not my fault. Like,
Yeah.
not okay. So it's not just my fault, but it's literally like I have Nadia on the phone with me workshopping all of my texts. And
Oh,
like
totally.
the whole almost like it's a comms program, like, oh, this is almost like it's a program where I'm literally like strategizing like what to say and how to say it, and I'll like send it back and forth to her, and sometimes I'll even use an L. Like, it just feels so fake, and it's like we're getting together on Friday and it's like a second date. It's so embarrassing, and I just feel so completely dumb.
I'm sure you're better than you think you are, to not totally discredit.
She's the best, seriously, one of the best communicators I know. And so it's just so funny to me where, you know, she's like, how do I respond to this dude?
If you can't do teach, I'm telling you once again.
Yeah.
Honey Jar doesn't work out.
Oh my God. There you go. Well, Michelle and Nadia, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, like echoing Duffy's sentiments here, like it's just so cool to see what you're building, and love seeing two women, like especially in the comm space, coming up, raising money, like taking charge of, you know, how we interact and the tools that we use for our industry. So thank you for taking the time to come on and join us on the pod today.
Thank you so much for having us. You guys are so fun. We all need to like meet up at some point.
Yeah, we'll see you at 23rd soon.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Well, and if anyone has a guest recommendation or a topic suggestion, you can reach out at hello@smartandpublicpod.com. We're on all social media channels. Go watch us on YouTube. You can see me wave my notes around and see the madness behind that. We can say hi to Noah.
Yes. Noah appears on the YouTube. Yep.
Noah appears on the YouTube, makes cameo.
Love it.
But yeah, other than that, thank you so much, Nadia and Michelle, again. And we'll chat to everybody next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, kitties.